Every digital system requires a steady clock pulse to synchronize operations and maintain a logical order during execution. In the early days of electronics, engineers faced a specific challenge. They needed to generate a reliable, infinite toggling pulse using only a constant DC power source and basic analog components. Without the aid of microchips, the BJT Astable Multivibrator provided the solution. The term astable refers to the fact that this circuit has 0 stable states. Unlike a standard memory latch, it is designed to continuously toggle its output between high and low voltages. By forcing this perpetual instability, the circuit converts a continuous DC source into a rhythmic toggling pulse, effectively generating a time base from raw voltage. The schematic reveals 2 mirrored halves, 2 bipolar junction transistors paired with their respective collector and base resistors. Connected by 2 central capacitors, this layout is known as a cross-coupled architecture. This specific feedback loop ensures that the physical state of one transistor directly dictates the opposite state of the other. Think of the BJT as a logic switch. Input below the 0.7 volt threshold causes it to act as an open circuit, or off. Conversely, an input at or above 0.7 volts puts it into saturation, becoming a short circuit to ground, turning on. To analyze the circuit's operation, we view these transistors as voltage-controlled binary logic switches, driven by the charging cycles of the opposing capacitors. At t equals 0, VCC power is applied to the circuit. Current instantly begins to flow through all resistor paths. Both transistors attempt to conduct as their capacitors begin charging through the base and collector resistors. Because collector resistors are smaller in value than base resistors, the charging rates across the different nodes are inherently unequal. Furthermore, microscopic manufacturing mismatches mean no 2 physical components are perfectly identical. This physical imbalance ensures that one transistor, for this example Q1, will reach the 0.7 volt saturation threshold slightly faster than the other. This initial mismatch shatters the circuit symmetry, replacing static equilibrium with a predictable oscillation. In state 1, Q1 reaches saturation, turning its collector-emitter pathway into a short to ground. This causes output Q to drop instantly to 0 volts. Since Q2 is in cutoff, its collector pathway remains open, leaving output Q bar pulled high toward VCC. While the outputs are in these states, the capacitor dynamics are already preparing the next transition. Capacitor C2 charges quickly because the base emitter junction of the on transistor, Q1, acts as a forward bias diode, capping the voltage at VCC minus VBE. Meanwhile, capacitor C1 undergoes a slow reverse charging process through resistor RB2 toward the VCC supply. This slowly climbing voltage across T1 serves as the mechanical countdown for state 1. The system remains in this state until C1 hits the critical threshold. As the voltage of C1 creeps toward the 0.7 volt activation threshold at the base of transistor Q2, the circuit nears its tipping point. The moment C1 hits 0.7 volts, it instantly triggers Q2 out of cutoff and into full saturation. This causes the right plate of capacitor C2, which was previously at a high voltage, to be instantly grounded through Q2. Because the voltage differential across a capacitor's plates cannot change instantaneously, the component reacts as a rigid voltage source. When the right plate is yanked to 0 volts, it drags the left plate down to a negative voltage. The sudden negative voltage hits the base of Q1, starving it of current and forcing it into cutoff. This capacitor-driven negative voltage pull is the physical mechanism that forces the circuit to flip, ensuring no single state reaches a permanent equilibrium. In state 2, Q1 is forced off and Q2 is fully on, inverting the outputs. Output Q instantly rises to VCC, completing the first half cycle of the oscillation. The timer for state 2 is now C2, which must climb from its negative voltage trench back up to the positive 0.7 volt threshold. This transition follows the standard exponential charging equation, defined by the initial negative voltage and the final target of VCC. Assuming VCC is significantly larger than the base emitter drop, the half-cycle duration is 0.693 times the resistance and capacitance values. This means the clock speed of the system is simply the mathematically predictable duration of a capacitor filling with electrons. Engineers treat these component values as control dials to dictate the specific frequency of the circuit. When the opposing resistors and capacitors are equal, The total period and frequency are calculated using these symmetrical approximations. However, engineers can also intentionally mismatch these values. Unequal components result in an asymmetrical waveform, which allows for different on and off durations within a single cycle. This flexibility allows the multivibrator to function as a pulse width modulation tool for various control systems. This two-state oscillation will continue endlessly as long as power is applied to the circuit. While the logic is clear, analog electronics are subject to physical constraints that deviate from ideal theory. In a theoretical model, the output would snap instantly to VCC, forming a perfect square wave. In reality, the waveform exhibits a rounded leading edge, often called the shark fin effect. This occurs because the output voltage cannot reach VCC until the adjacent capacitor has finished charging through the collector resistor. This shark fin curve is the physical evidence of the capacitor's charging delay. It marks the transition between ideal math and analog behavior, demonstrating how the circuit achieves a predictable output through constant, timed instability.